In this podcast episode, Ben Shapiro delves into the controversial decision made by President Joe Biden to pardon his son, Hunter Biden, on various charges, including gun and tax offenses. This decision, which came as a surprise to many, raises significant questions about the implications for American politics, the Biden family's integrity, and the broader justice system. Late one night, President Biden announced a full and unconditional pardon for Hunter Biden, retroactively covering a period from January 1st, 2014 to December 1st, 2022. 4. This sweeping pardon not only absolves Hunter of the charges he faced, but also wipes his record clean of any potential future offenses committed during that time frame. Shapiro highlights the absurdity of the timing, suggesting that Hunter could theoretically commit further crimes before the end of the pardon period and still be protected. The statement issued by Biden claims that Hunter was unfairly prosecuted, suggesting that the charges were politically motivated. Shapiro argues that this assertion is hypocritical, as Biden's pardon directly contradicts his earlier promises not to interfere with the Justice Department's decisions. The president's claim that Hunter was selectively prosecuted is met with skepticism, especially given the serious nature of the charges against him, including lying on a gun registration form while being a known drug addict. Shapiro posits that the pardon serves a dual purpose. It not only protects Hunter from legal repercussions, but also attempts to shield Joe Biden from potential investigations into his own conduct. The timing of the pardon coincides with Hunter's involvement in various international business dealings, particularly in Ukraine and China, which have long been scrutinized for potential corruption. By issuing this pardon, Biden effectively clears the way for Hunter, who has been implicated in numerous scandals, to avoid further legal scrutiny. The podcast discusses how this action sets a dangerous precedent in American politics. Shapiro argues that Biden's decision to pardon his son undermines the rule of law and signals to future presidents that they can use their power to protect family members from legal consequences. This could lead to a normalization of political corruption, where the lines between personal and political interests become increasingly blurred. Shapiro critiques the media's portrayal of Biden's actions, noting that many outlets initially framed the prosecution of Hunter as a sign of the Justice Department's impartiality. However, with the pardon, the narrative shifts, revealing the inconsistencies in how the media has covered the Biden family compared to the Trump administration. Shapiro points out that while Trump faced numerous legal challenges, the Biden administration has managed to navigate its own controversies with relative ease, largely due to the media's favorable coverage. The podcast also touches on the reactions from various political figures, including moderate Democrats who expressed disappointment in Biden's decision. Shapiro highlights the growing concern among some Democrats that this pardon could be weaponized by future administrations, particularly if a Republican president were to follow suit. Shapiro contextualizes the Biden pardon within a larger narrative of political corruption in Washington. He argues that the Biden family's history of leveraging political connections for personal gain is emblematic of a systemic issue that has plagued American politics for decades. The podcast draws parallels between Biden's actions and those of previous administrations, suggesting that the normalization of such behavior erodes public trust in government institutions. The discussion also extends to the implications for Donald Trump and his potential return to the presidency. Shapiro suggests that Biden's pardon could embolden Trump to use his own pardon power liberally should he regain office. This creates a cycle of political retribution, where each party feels justified in using the levers of power to protect its own. As the podcast progresses, Shapiro shifts focus to the future of the Justice Department under a potential Trump administration. He discusses Trump's intention to appoint individuals like Kash Patel, who have been vocal critics of the FBI and the DOJ, to key positions. This move is seen as an attempt to reform these institutions, which many perceive as having been weaponized against political opponents. Shapiro emphasizes the need for a thorough overhaul of the federal government, particularly in light of the perceived corruption and politicization of agencies like the FBI. He argues that a smaller, more accountable government is essential to restoring public trust and ensuring that the rule of law is upheld.